He cheated, my friends knew, my family knew. No one told me. They said we didn't want to hurt you. So I burned the group chat, blocked every number, changed my name, started over in a new city. When they saw my face on a magazine cover, they said, "She's so different now." I am, you made sure of that. He cheated, casually, repeatedly, and I had no idea. I was the one defending him. When he didn't answer right away, I made excuses. When he canceled plans, I told people he was exhausted. When friends raised eyebrows, I smoothed them down with reasons, with trust, with love that was earned, or so I thought. He had a soft voice and a steady gaze. He didn't yell, didn't lie loudly, he lied quietly, consistently. And I let him. We had rituals, takeout on Fridays, grocery runs on Sundays. Dumb shows we watched together, half paying attention, always pretending it was the routine that made us solid. I knew his passwords. He knew mine. But he also knew how to keep things just far enough out of reach that I wouldn't go looking. I didn't want to be the girl who snooped. I wanted to be the one who trusted. He liked that version of me. We talked about trips, a shared account, a dog. He never mentioned marriage, but I didn't push. I thought we had time. I thought I was being patient. He always knew what to say, not romantic things, just the right things. Like, "I love how focused you are," or "You make things easier." Words that felt like stability. And maybe I was easy. Easy to fool, easy to praise while walking over. Because while I was busy being loyal, he was busy seeing what he could get away with. And apparently, it was everything. My friends knew, not all of them, but enough. The ones I trusted most. The ones who stood beside me in photos and told me how lucky I was. They saw the messages, not directly from him, but through the girl he was sleeping with. Screenshots passed around, casually mentioned, laughed at over drinks. They said nothing. One of them worked with her, knew her last name, knew the timing, knew it overlapped, but she didn't bring it up, just said he was cute, said I was so lucky. Another friend found a second Instagram account, his, private. New, full of likes and comments that didn't come from me. She told another friend. That friend told someone else. By the time I found out, the chain was long, and not one of them had sent it to me. They dodged it when I brought him up. Changed the subject, gave each other looks across the table, said things like, "As long as you're happy." I thought they were being weird. I thought maybe they didn't like him. I didn't realize they just didn't respect me enough to tell me what they knew. They protected him. Or maybe they just didn't want to be the one who broke the illusion. Either way, they chose silence. And when the truth finally landed, it landed alone. My family knew, too, not rumors, not speculation. Proof. My sister had seen the texts. She didn't tell me how she got them, just that she didn't think it was her place. She said that while holding a glass of wine in my kitchen, 3 weeks after I found out on my own. I didn't want to make things worse. "You thought I was happy," I corrected. She didn't argue. Turns out my cousin had seen him with someone else at a bar, hands on a waist that wasn't mine. She told my aunt. My aunt told my mom. My mom said, "He seems like a good guy," and left it there. I asked why no one told me. My mother said, "We thought maybe it was just a phase." My father shrugged. "You're smart, we figured you'd figure it out." They watched it happen. All of them. They stood in rooms with me, hugged him at holidays, smiled at my plans. And they said nothing. Not because they didn't believe me, because they didn't want to be the ones who had to sit in the fallout. So they let me drown quietly to protect themselves from the splash. No one told me. They all knew, friends, family, people I laughed with, confided in, trusted, and no one said a word. I didn't find out through some dramatic reveal. No confrontation, no anonymous message. I found a receipt in his jacket pocket. 2 drinks, 1 room, a city he wasn't supposed to be in. When I asked him, he didn't deny it. Just shrugged. "I didn't think you'd find out." He didn't say sorry, he didn't look guilty. He looked tired. I told my sister, she already knew. "I didn't want to hurt you," she murmured, eyes on the floor. My mother said the same thing. So did my best friend, word for word. Like it was the line they'd rehearsed in case I ever caught up. I stood in front of them, each one, and asked the only question that still mattered. "Why didn't you tell me?" They all had versions of the same answer. "We didn't want to hurt you. We weren't sure it was our place. We just didn't know how." But they knew how to show up to dinners. They knew how to smile at him across the table. They knew how to hug me while he lied. They didn't protect me, they protected the illusion, and they left me to grieve it alone. I burned the group chat, didn't explain, didn't ask, didn't drop a hint that something was coming. I scrolled through the messages, vacations, brunch plans, inside jokes that now felt like code. All those times they smiled while knowing. All those check-ins that weren't real. I didn't reply. I just left, one group then another, girls from college, cousins, work wives. Every thread where my pain had been passed around like a secret or worse, a punchline, I started blocking numbers. One by one, not in anger. Not even in grief, it was clarity. No second chances, no, but I didn't know how to tell you. No, you're being harsh. They had their silence, now they could keep it. I didn't write a final message. No goodbye, no statement. Just a clean exit. They didn't deserve closure. They'd watched me love someone who didn't love me back and chose to protect their comfort over my dignity. So I walked away before they could try to explain that. I blocked every number. Not just his, all of them. Friends who stayed too quiet, family who played neutral, people who claimed they didn't know what to do, but somehow always knew enough to stay silent. I didn't wait for them to reach out. I didn't care if they had finally found the courage to say something. That courage should have come when it mattered. I pulled up contacts and deleted names. Numbers I'd memorized. Numbers I used to run to, all gone. Socials next. Accounts locked. Then deleted. No warnings. No posts. No parting words. I changed my voicemail, killed old emails, shut down the group threads I used to wake up excited to read. No one could reach me, not to explain, not to apologize, not to beg for a version of me they'd already thrown away. It wasn't revenge, it was reclamation. They thought they could stay in my orbit without facing what they'd done, so I removed the orbit entirely. I changed my name, legally, digitally, quietly, new email, new voicemail, updated accounts that no one could search. The woman who once hosted group dinners and planned surprise parties no longer existed on paper, and soon she wouldn't exist anywhere else. The process was mechanical. Lines to sign, boxes to check, a clerk who didn't ask why. I walked out of the building with a name that didn't carry their history. No attached memories, no weight. It felt like wiping the slate without needing permission. The change didn't erase the betrayal. It just cut the cord between me and the people who held it tight while pretending they were holding me. I looked at the paperwork, at the letters that now belonged to me and only me. This time, no one would shorten it, twist it, call it from across a room with a smile that hid something. This name wouldn't echo in anyone else's mouth but mine. I left in the middle of the night. No notes, no warning, no forwarding address. I packed the car with what mattered: clothes, cash, backup drives, the copy of my name change certificate folded in the glove box. Everything else stayed behind. The dishes we bought together, the framed photos they all smiled in, the apartment filled with air that hadn't felt like mine in months. The drive was long. No music, just headlights cutting through dark roads and the steady sound of tires rolling away from everything I used to tolerate. I didn't cry, I didn't think, I drove. Every mile felt cleaner, lighter. Like the silence was finally mine, not something handed to me by people who were too scared to speak. I didn't text anyone to say I made it safely. They didn't earn that. And for the first time since the truth unraveled, I wasn't running from it. I was just done giving it space to follow me. I picked a city no one could guess. Big enough to disappear. Small enough to rebuild without being watched. I chose it on instinct, a place I'd never mentioned in conversations, never posted from, never dreamed about loud enough for anyone to remember. It wasn't coastal. It wasn't trendy. It was mine. The first few days were quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty, just unfamiliar. I rented a small apartment with a lock that clicked cleanly and windows that faced a street where no one knew my face. I learned which gas stations stayed open late, which diners didn't ask questions, which parks were empty before 8 a.m. No one asked where I came from. I didn't offer it. I moved through the city like someone new, not pretending, just shedding. Every street was a fresh line in a chapter I didn't have to explain. No one said my name with hesitation, because no one here had ever said it wrong. I got a job. Then a second one. First was morning's front desk at a community clinic. Answer phones, smile, file forms, keep my head down. Second was nights, cleaning offices. Quiet hallways, locked doors, no small talk. I worked like I was trying to outrun memory. Clocked in early, left late, ate in parking lots, slept in short bursts. No one at either job knew my full name. No one asked why I never took weekends off. I liked it that way. The busier I stayed, the less space there was for what came before. His voice. Their silence. My own disbelief. I didn't want friends. I wanted hours. Paychecks. Something I could build without risk of betrayal. People tried to talk sometimes, coworkers, supervisors, strangers on smoke breaks, but I kept my answers short. Polite. Empty. It wasn't isolation, it was insulation. And it worked. I stayed off social media. Deleted every account. No backups. No quiet stalking of people who'd stopped deserving my curiosity. No throwbacks. No birthdays. No group memories reminding me who laughed while I crumbled. I didn't want to be found. Didn't want to be tagged, followed, invited back into a circle I had already burned. Photos stayed on a hard drive. Private. Mine. I didn't post updates. Didn't scroll. Didn't watch them try to move on without consequence. They'd have to wonder. They'd have to guess where I was, what I looked like, whether I missed them. I didn't. My new number wasn't linked to anything. My name wouldn't autocomplete. I became a ghost by choice, not to haunt them, but to protect what was left of me. I started to like my silence. No buzz of group chats lighting up my phone. No fake laughter filling dead space. No one asking how I was, just to feel better about ignoring what they already knew. I woke up to quiet and went to sleep with it. Let it wrap around me like something earned, not forced. There was no background noise to drown out. Just peace. I made breakfast without needing to text anyone a photo. Walked home from work without checking for new messages. Bought a book, read it, and didn't review it for anyone else's benefit. The silence didn't feel lonely. It felt like relief. Like finally being in a room where I didn't have to shrink to fit. And for the first time, I didn't miss the people who taught me how to disappear. Then I found my voice again. Not for them, not for him. Just for me. It started small, a journal I bought on a lunch break, a pen I liked the weight of. I didn't write about the past. I didn't want to give it that much space. I wrote scenes, dialogue, fragments of women who didn't ask for permission to speak. The stories grew. Short paragraphs on paper turned into documents on my laptop. I built characters from silence, from control, from survival. I didn't share any of it. Not yet. It wasn't about being seen. It was about hearing myself clearly for the first time in years, without being talked over, doubted, softened. What they broke, I rewrote. And with every page, I remembered that I was never actually too much. I was just surrounded by people who couldn't hold it. People started listening. It wasn't planned. I posted one piece anonymously, a short essay about leaving quietly and rebuilding without permission. Someone shared it, then someone else. A blog reached out, then a podcast. Then a small local publication asked if I'd write something longer. I did. They published my words without edits, without dilution, without asking me to make it more palatable. The responses came slowly. Comments, emails. Quiet thank yous from strangers who had walked away from their own versions of silence. I didn't use my real name, but the voice was mine. Clear, direct, untouched by what used to shrink me. More people came, more platforms. More space. It wasn't fame. It was resonance. And that was louder than anything they'd ever given me. They saw my face again, not through a tagged photo or a mutual friend's feed, but on the cover of a magazine stacked at checkout counters and newsstands they couldn't avoid. A feature on New Voices. My story, my words, my name, the new one, the one I chose, bold, clean, centered under a headline that didn't mention heartbreak once. The photo was sharp. Eyes forward, no softness, no tilt, just presence. I didn't wear the version of myself they remembered. I didn't smile to be liked. I didn't dress to look digestible. I looked like I knew exactly who I was, because I did. And this time, when they saw me, they couldn't claim they helped build it. They weren't part of the story. They were the reason it existed. She's so different now. That's what they whispered. What they demed from burner accounts and backup numbers. What they said to mutual friends, hoping it would make its way to me. They didn't recognize the posture, the voice, the name in print, so they blamed the difference instead of the damage. She used to be so sweet. She changed. Success got to her head, as if I hadn't been shattered and rebuilt from the ground up, as if they hadn't helped dig the hole I had to crawl out of. They called it a transformation. It was a survival. They didn't know how to hold that, so they turned me into a mystery because it was easier than admitting they were the reason I disappeared in the first place. I left them on read. Sometimes I didn't even open the message, just saw the preview, recognized the name, and deleted it before it touched my inbox. Saw the article, proud of you. Miss you, let's talk. We were young. We made mistakes. They tried to soften what they did with nostalgia, with excuses, with a sudden interest in the life they had no part in building. I didn't block them again. I didn't need to. My silence did more than any explanation ever could. They lost access not just to my phone, but to the version of me who once waited for their honesty. She's gone, and I'm not forwarding her messages. He tried too, different number. New tone, same excuses. The message was short, just enough to sound regretful without admitting anything. I've been thinking about you. I know I messed up. I'd really like to talk if you're open to it. I wasn't. He didn't say what he did. He didn't say who he hurt. He didn't mention the people who helped him lie or the ones who watched and said nothing. Just a vague reach into the silence, hoping I'd grab on. I didn't. I deleted it before it finished loading. No reply, no closure. He had his chance to speak when the truth still mattered. Now he can keep the silence he once counted on. I didn't respond. I didn't explain. I didn't walk them through what they did. Didn't offer context. Didn't help them feel better about the damage. They had their version of me, the one who forgave too quickly, who defended people who weren't defending her, who made herself small to keep the peace. That version's gone. Now my life is clean, structured, private. I work when I want, speak when it matters. Come home to quiet that doesn't ache. I choose who hears from me, who sees me, who knows the details. The people who once swore they loved me only knew how to love the parts that stayed easy. The moment it required honesty, they chose silence, so I gave it back to them, and I've kept it. I am different. You made sure of that. They broke something they thought I'd rebuild the same way. They thought I'd come back softer, more grateful, more willing to make room for the people who left me behind. But I didn't shrink. I rewrote. I walked past the newsstand on my way to a meeting, the magazine still there, my face still on the cover. Same photo, same headline, same eyes that no longer asked for approval. People glanced at it. Some looked twice. No one said anything. They didn't have to. I didn't stop walking, didn't buy a copy, didn't pause to stare. I already knew who I was, and she wasn't someone they'd recognize. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you all.